High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. Here we go. The Self-Help Energizer Bunny. This is like my 13th or 14th book review in a row, and I think I'm gonna have more to say in this one than probably any other one I've done so far. My brother listened to this audiobook recently and told me that the prompts in it are like crack for motivation. He said that, the last week or so he had been off of his game, and recently doing these has really helped him get back in touch with his why. I listened to it earlier this year and it really helped me out with a couple things. If you want to know how it can help you, just keep watching. Now, I want to keep a long story short and say that I was making music and videos for most of the second half of 2018, and then I tried moving to Atlanta. It was a terrible idea. I had a bad time. I ended up losing a bunch of money, and I tried to move back until I really ended up figuring things out. To this day, I am still at my mom's house. And hey, at least I'm being transparent about it. I do actually have enough cash to get an apartment, but hey man, cash can give you power to make decisions. So until I get a job where I can better apply in more contexts the information that I'm learning from these books, because since I started just doing these reviews, I've really pile drove. Anyway, I've really plowed through so many books, like more books than I ever would in any month if I weren't doing book reviews. But when I get that job, it's really gonna skyrocket the quality of these reviews. Believe me when I say that. Here we are, and I wouldn't have all that cash, and I wouldn't have all the time to make all these videos if I hadn't listened to books like this from January till today. So if you're trying to bounce up or back and exceed where you were before, this is the book for you. A huge thing I also want to add before I get to the review is, yes, I review a lot of books, but what I recommend more than any of these books is just finding one book that best fits the biggest challenge in your life right now. Who knows, it may be this one, and just completely immerse yourself in listening to or reading it over and over and over and over again until it's stuck to your brain, the power, the positivity. You can't even get rid of it. I don't like listening to more than one book at a time. Some people do. I always have that one book that I come to at the end of every month. My current one is Think and Grow Rich. 13 months after starting that, lately I've been thinking of switching it to How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, but Sam, shut the fuck up. Just start the fucking review. You guys ever talk to yourselves? It's a habit I've been into. Maybe not a very high performance one, but if that's not the case, then I should really quit. When you listen to Brendon talk, you know that he's the type of leader where leadership, of course it's something he's very good with, but it's not something that's natural to him. And I think that makes it very relatable to the people who are following him and seeing what he's putting out. You can tell that he has seriously fought to get to the level of confidence that he's at now. This book is about extraordinary people and how they become that way. It's based on 2 decades of research, 1 decade of insights gained from elite level performance coaching, and a vast data set of high performers gained worldwide through surveys, structured interviews, and performance assessment tools. How do you achieve external success and well-being in a world, long-term by the way, in a world where the demand is super high from others, that you get so much shit done at such high qualities? In answer to this question and a plethora of other questions, this book was written. How do you stay consistently at your best? He starts beautifully with a dire need and reasoning of why he put this book together. Then he tells the whole story of his live, love, matter mantra and how he turned a suicidal life around after a car accident by smashing that like button if you haven't already. I'm sorry, that was a terrible time for that call to action. It was horrible. I'll do it later in the video, but how much shit went into the studies that he turned into this book? Then there's several paragraphs about how, technology isn't gonna save us, and how focus on certainty or achievement alone really hurts us. So there are 6 things that all of the highest performers have which consistently ensure that they sustain unshakable success. These habits, and this book is about those habits. They're called the HP6. Obviously stands for High Performance 6, like the 6 habits in the book name, High Performance Habits. They have to do with clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, influence, and courage. You can start using them today, but they will make you better forever. There's something after the intro where he reads us this phenomenally written email from a coaching client, years ago, about so many different things, like his personality and his background and his past and his story. And he's like, tell me what to do. That's what high performers are about. Not what they are, but what they do. So kind of like the book, and I'll throw my opinions in whenever they come up. I'm going to talk about the main things that I learned and really picked up and found interesting from each habit.
Because he seriously goes in on each habit.
As he said, without the HP6, even the most gifted person would be lost, tired, unmotivated, unproductive, alone, or fearful. People look around and see everything but the lack of the HP6 when it comes to the reasons they are not sustainably succeeding. But if those things were true, do you think your boss would have you come into his office and be like,
yeah, Steven, if you could just perform a little better, if you could just start, paying yourself 10 times more, or start being better at math and more creative, and just make your personality better too, and stop being so depressed, and be a little bit more Asian, black, white, female, and male all at the same time. Oh, and also have 13 more years of experience under your belt. That'd be great.
These are not really, as you could guess, useful things to focus on. But these habits, not the ones I just listed, but the HP6, will make all the other ones that are, kind of uncomfortable in your life, ones that you gotta change, will make those changes fall into place. With clarity, he begins by telling this dope story. He's talked with this girl, Kate, outside her home in the summer when her friends are inside on a night, and she's crying, and she's like, I have it all. I'm good at what I do, and the chaos is some sort of routine. His storytelling is like goosebumps here. She said she doesn't know what she wants anymore. And of course,
it had to do with her habits.
I mean, improving a bad thing could be easy for people like her. Messing with a good thing can be terrifying. Questions like, is this the right direction? Would I miss out if I tried something new? Am I being stupid? Am I good enough? Why do I feel so distracted? When I was dropping 2 videos a week of myself talking about what I learned, how I felt, what I thought, doing all this research and applying as much of it into my life as I possibly can, then dropping 2 4 to 6 song EPs every year, and 1 beat video a week, distributing the actual beat itself with and without the chorus in it on Airbit, MailChimp, SoundCloud, Instagram, YouTube, and I think like 7 other places, and growing my Instagram like crazy, I noticed something was wrong. I felt like I kept moving, and I was also dropping a remix every week on Sunday too. If this is the first time you see my channel, well, hi, I'm Samuel. I'm a self-produced rapper and singer, and I want to make self-growth normal. But I decided to stop making music altogether, trying to sell beats and mixing and mastering services, because when I tried to move to Atlanta in January, something was terribly wrong. I felt like there was scarcity everywhere. I would go everywhere, I would hear people talk about the music industry and be like,
well, that's just the nature of the industry.
And so many people said that. In fact, it felt more real than when I was just seeing stuff like that on Facebook posts, but it felt worse. Probably because of that. So I came back and I was like, there has to be a way to effectively and efficiently and quickly monetize my YouTube channel by doing what I love that is not music. Even though I really miss music, it's been like a month or so. And that really didn't hit me in the fucking head until a month ago. But now I'm trying to put out 4 book reviews a week. Listening to the books and making the reviews and everything like that. And uploading them and putting them everywhere. Because it's like, dude, I need to know how to make money in my sleep or I'm gonna work every day until I die. And I also, of course, gotta get a new job where I can apply all of the information I'm learning and get out of it more than my current one. And that really hit me a month ago, and it all comes down to clarity. When you feel like you're just being surrounded by this dust cloud, and it's because you're moving so fast, you're just moving so scary, it's horrifying. These reviews are scripted, and just writing that part out, I felt this kerplunk in my chest. It felt like I wasted all that time. But look at what matters most. And look at the main thing and keep the main thing the main thing. I already knew how to monetize a YouTube channel, this whole thing, but the most profitable thing, affiliate marketing, as opposed to music streaming or beat selling and royalties and stuff, I was just killing myself for peanuts. Because you can love what you do, but there seriously is just a point where it's like, dude, fuck this shit. This is an economic planet. And it's not like I just immediately came to that conclusion. When it comes to clarity, this is all my story with clarity. It's just mine. I really had to dig. But there's a difference between knowing yourself and imagining yourself. There's a difference between introspection and intention. High performers know that difference. When it comes to clarity, they think about who they want to be. Of course, I still have yet to entirely apply this. If that weren't true, I don't know, I feel like I'd be filming this in like a tropical paradise island. I'm sure you can probably say the same about yourself, but I think a lot about who I want to be. The beginning of the second habit chapter thing. The first one is clarity. The second one is generating energy. Energy is
a huge thing
when it comes to sustained performance. That you probably know if you've seen a video or two of Tony Robbins or the author Brendon Burchard. It was 3 a.m. A very hardworking entrepreneur in Silicon Valley had Brendon fly over to his office at 3 a.m. to talk about what's wrong. He said his energy is dipping, and the rest of the story, the reason, and everything, that's in the book. But the beginning of energy, beyond that, states something that stood out.
Unfortunately, we don't do well at taking care of our well-being. More than 1/3 of Americans are obese, costing the U.S. over $147 billion in medical expenses. Only about 20% of Americans get even the minimum aerobic and muscle strengthening activities recommended by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Other studies reveal that 42% of Americans say they aren't doing anything to manage their stress. 20% say they never do any activities to manage or relieve their stress. And 1 in 5 say that they have no one to rely on for emotional support. 1 in 3 working Americans
is chronically stressed on the job. If you work every day with 2 other people, one of you might want to check out this book. Oh, and fewer than half of them say that their organization supports employee well-being. I don't know, if I owned a company, I would constantly just be reviewing stuff like this with my employees. Obviously, I would hire people for that too, but we would have some sort of a weekly or monthly meeting with each employee on their general life and how it's kind of going. Like, let's all stay very transparent here. And okay, let's go over this one habit that I got from the book, which completely blew my mind. We all have, our flaws, and after listening to this book in, I think, March, I stopped doing it in a couple weeks. But I did just restart after listening to this book again. I know I have, an amount of energy in my videos. Some people think I'm doing cocaine. There are a lot of reasons for that, but one of them is that if I didn't, no one would watch them. I'm convinced. Now, on the topic of transitions, like during the day from one thing to another, here are 3 questions. Do you ever carry negative energy from one activity to the next? Do you ever feel depleted but still plow through your next activity without a break, even though you know you should take a breather? Are you losing a sense of presence and appreciation for life and others the further you go through your day? It's kind of a dark question. Most people answer yes to all 3 questions. I know I did. Here's how to change your energy from one thing to the next and go upstream. It's an experiment. Just try it the next time. If you like it, try it again and again, and it's all about momentum. Just keep doing it. If that doesn't work, stay tuned for my next review, because I'm gonna watch this and that too to make sure that I keep doing this habit. Close your eyes for a minute or 2, repeat the word release over and over and over again. Demand your body to just release all the tension in your shoulders, your neck, your back, and your face, and your jaw. Release the tension, your legs, your mind, your spirit. Just repeat the word release in your mind. And then take 1 second to just set the intention with what you want to feel and or achieve in the next activity. Ask yourself 1 or 2 questions about the intention. What energy do you want to feel? How can you bring it? I obviously did this before filming this video. Brendon does it before and after workouts, before phone calls, before shooting an email to his employees or anyone on his team, before he shoots a video, before he goes to lunch with his friends, before going on stage in front of 20,000 people. And it has saved him many times from anxiety or poor performance, or both. He did it before he walked into a room and got interviewed by Oprah, before sitting down with a US president, and before proposing to his wife. I think that's all pretty gangster. And after I heard this part, I heard an email from the guy who we were just talking about, the guy in the 3 a.m. in the interview in the Silicon Valley, who was dying of energy loss, and that was really touching. That part is also in the book. There are these routines Brendon calls joy triggers. Things you do when you wake up, or you go to sleep, or you feel stressed, or you do this or that. Take 10 deep breaths and ask yourself, what would my very best self do in this situation? Or when you call your significant other's name, think to yourself, I am on this earth for this man or woman. I need to give my joy to them. If you don't do things like this out of habit, think of it What kind of energy are you bringing to people you see each and every day? When it comes to energy, people like me will say things like,
well, I don't have time to do that. I'm too busy working on videos and work and music and beats and all this other stuff.
I didn't have time to work out originally, but not anymore. If you want to know why, check out my next review, or wait I don't know how many months until I review The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Necessity is the third habit. Necessity is something that, like, it demands your attention for a long time. You need to do it. If you know my second favorite book of all time, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, you know a fucking thing or two about necessity, because it's like people are counting on you. Someone in High Performance Habits sums it up. This one habit is a feeling you need to constantly drive up. I've had this one better than almost anything in my life for probably years now. If you think just being on Adderall is why I get so many things done, it's also this one. In fact, this one is probably like 10 times the reason. Basically, it's where everything you stand for meets the needs of one moment. Everything. For every moment. It's a sense of urgency. It's a greater sense of confidence. It brings you that. If you have enough of this, people do think you're on cocaine. But this book does get you deeper in touch with your why and yourself. It gets you thinking, oh my gosh, this is that one thing that I need to do that I stopped doing, or should be doing. This chapter is basically an accessible way of saying,
okay, you need to do this and be obsessed with it to the point where people think that you're insane.
My girlfriend is at the beach right now. Over the last weekend, I made 4 videos in one weekend. So when it comes to balance, a reason that I'm grateful for, this is just one example, to be in a relationship, is to have just that one big thing that kind of demands,
alright, look Sam, you need to pay attention to more than one thing now, because your life is no longer entirely about just these fucking books.
This is something else. These reviews are like, I genuinely tie them to a greater goal. Not just me, not some girl. I want to make self-growth normal. So it's necessary that I make these reviews. If you check out my music or my remixes, they're about becoming a better person in business and life and cutting negative people out of your life and connecting with the universe to touch a deeper sense in your inner being. I want that to be normal. I want that to be on the news. When that's on the news, the shootings will stop. The political debates probably won't even be debates.